is you might know her from YouTube. She's honestly my favorite person in the space. So we have to welcome the one, the only, Dara Denney to the stage, y'all. Let's show some love.
Really? Your favorite?
In this space, I feel like we're so close. So I feel like I have to say that every time, and I don't feel like I'm being disingenuous. So I appreciate it,
Oh my
Dara.
God. It's such an honor. It's such an honor. I am so, so stoked about this, and I can't wait to get
Amazing.
started.
Amazing. Okay, Dara, I'm going to catch you at the end. Do your thing.
Hey everyone, I am so, so stoked to get started with you guys today. We're going to get a little tactical today and really talk about trends in creative analysis. And the way that I always love to start these presentations is to actually show you guys two creatives and have you guess which one you think performed best. And I'm only going to show each of these once. So lock in, pay attention, and let's see which one you think performed best.
Seborrheic dermatitis really crushed my self-confidence and took away who I really was. It changed my personality because I wasn't confident anymore, and it was starting to ruin my life. These.
And then B.
What the fuck is this?
If you've ever had flakes like this, I promise it's not dirt, it's not neglect, and it's definitely not your fault.
I see an overwhelming amount of you guys saying B. Not many A's, which tells me that for once in this presentation, I got ya. The top performing ad here was actually A. And in this presentation, we're going to dive into a little bit more of why that may be. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dara Denney, and I've worked as a creative strategist and media buyer for some of the top brands in D2C. And I always like to tell people that today I have three jobs. Number one, I'm a partner at a boutique ad agency. This is my business partner, Miguel. He's definitely in the chat. We work with 8- and 9-figure brands to supply them performance creative. But I'm also a content creator. So I make content for media buyers and creative strategists, and I actually hit 100K on YouTube this year. So thank you so, so much to that community that follows me over there. And then not so secretly, one of my favorites is I am chief evangelist at Motion. Now, Motion really leads the industry in supplying education for the next generation of creative strategists. And that's something that is really near and dear to my heart. So today I want to talk a little bit how you should be analyzing creative in this next generation of, creativity that's at everyone's fingertips, right? And what actually ends up surprising people is that I have a 4-step analysis process for analyzing creatives. And it's actually the metrics that are the least important part of this process. So when I am analyzing, hey, which creatives actually worked and didn't work, I like dividing those metrics into primary KPIs and storytelling KPIs. Now, your primary KPIs are going to tell you which creatives worked and which ones didn't. That is all. Sometimes I get people who come up to me and they're like, hey, but what about click-through rate? Can that be an indication of a creative that's working? No. The creatives that are working on paid social are the ones who are going to get the most amount of spend and results. Everything else is what I like to call storytelling KPIs. So these are going to be able to help tell you the story, potentially, of why something performed or didn't perform. Which actually brings me to the next step of this process, which is the content. When you are analyzing the actual content of any creative, this is actually the most important part of the analysis process. And again, we're going to be zooming in on content level data. And I always love to start with the format because I think that this is a really easy way for people to ease into starting to analyze creative and why something may or may not be working. So when I say format, a lot of people initially think, okay, images, videos, carousels, right? But formats actually go a lot deeper. You have your us versus them formats. You have your features point out, your founders ads, your statistic-based ads. All of these formats are things that really can go into making up a creative. But something I always want you to ask yourself is, what impact can performance or what impact can format actually have on performance? I don't always find that this is the defining thing that can actually make a creative convert or perform. Something that I find is crucially important is the creator. And we got Oren right there, right? Because I'm telling you, when he's in the ads, those things convert. Your creator and the talent that you work with is more important, candidly, than the script, the arbitrary hooks that you're making. It is one of the most important choices. And something that I always ask myself when I'm trying to reverse engineer creative, especially if they have talent in them, to what level is the actual creator that is selected having that impact? The next thing that's going to be crucially important is understanding what type of messaging strategies you're using inside of your creative. And I like to put these into 4 different buckets. So number 1 is going to be, what type of human desire angle are you going after? Are you leaning into the human desire of romance, maybe social connection or tranquility or power? Or maybe you're taking a different approach and really trying to nail a certain demographic. Maybe you're looking at an age, a role they play in their life, certain types of hobbies and jobs that they have. Or maybe you want to take a bigger strategic angle. Maybe you want to go full celebrity campaign like a Skims. Or maybe you want to lean into negative or taboo marketing or more of a personal history angle. Another really important factor here with your messaging is going to be what part of the user journey you are really focusing on. So all the way on the right-hand side, looking at the most aware, these are people who are already inherently interested in a free masterclass. Whereas if you look at unaware, these are people that are maybe just slightly interested with what a dating expert has to offer. So I actually really like mapping out all of my messaging points to all of these different stages. And some formats can also lend themselves to different parts of this stage. And the next thing that we have is, of course, imagery. Sometimes the specific type of imagery that you use is also going to have a really big impact and is worth in-depthly analyzing. So this can be things like your production quality. Are you using lo-fi? Are you using hi-fi? Could also be your setting, the color or movement play, or even your POV shot angles. Now, the big thing that I think is, changing in 2026 is actually how all of these fit together to really bring up one more piece of content level data that I find a lot of advertisers are talking about today, which is all of these go into a certain persona or intended audience. Now, this is something that on Motion's actual platform that I really love, because they now have the ability to look at your creatives and see which intended audiences your creatives are actually meeting. And if you're not a Motion customer right now, this is something too that you can do with your website review. So this is an analysis I did for a recent client of mine. And I said, hey, I want to look at the different audience segments we need to develop creative for, so that we are more accurately speaking to their problems and their pain points. And we were able to combine those reviews as signals so that we could really zero in on the type of personas that are really going to move the needle for us. Now, this is even more important in the age of Andromeda, right? Oren touched on it earlier. And all that Andromeda does for the Meta algorithm is it looks at the millions of potential ads that it could deliver to a single person and actually just makes a smaller group of ads. But what a lot of people don't talk about with Andromeda is that it's also grouping these different ads into different personas, which is why every time you're analyzing creative and you're looking at the format, the creator, the messaging, and the imagery, really think about, okay, who are we targeting with this specific creative? That's going to be really important for your performance moving into 2026, which then leads me to the last 2 points of the 4-step analysis process with it, which is comparison. So your comparison is going to essentially put all of your data into context. You're going to look at your metrics and your content, and you're going to be able to compare that to internal and external resources. So you can look at your other top performers or your performance as a whole. I also really like being able to compare to competitors and really understand, hey, how are our competitors using certain visuals, using certain messaging strategies over and over again so that they can reach their customers? This is actually something I like to do on a monthly basis so that I can track it for each of our individual competitors. And then the final part of the 4-step analysis process is to also look at feedback, of course, and look at the type of comments and engagement your ads are getting, because these are things that, you know, really can help show you, hey, this is the next type of ad that we can make potentially, but it can also give you a gut check on how your creative is landing. So moving forward into 2026, my final piece is that, you know, the analysis process does not just stop at the data. You have to really drill into the content piece and compare that across different data sources, and also look at the feedback on those individual creatives. And that is all that I have today. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you are interested to learn more about creative strategy and analysis, I do have a creative course that is coming out early next year that I am redoing. It's really my life's mission to teach creative strategy. I really love it so much. So thank you so much for having me.
This is everybody's chance to slow clap in their bedrooms, their offices, wherever they're tapping in from. Hit that slow clap, because Dara, you absolutely crushed it. People are like instant follow on IG after. They're like, too much knowledge, need to digest.
Awesome.
Dara, I think we have time for one question. I think we have time for one question if you're cool with it. Perfect.
Yeah, let's do it.
So one question that I saw pop up in the chat, they were asking, well, someone said, why is Dara so cool? But the other one is, what's the difference between strategy angle and formats from a definition perspective?
Oh yeah, this is a really good question. I'd say that the strategy angle is actually something that could be inserted into different formats. Like, for instance, you can do a piece of celebrity content or a celebrity like big strategy angle in multiple different formats. So every time you see a big celebrity campaign, oftentimes you'll also see out of home, so big billboards, TV campaigns. The format is how it's actually showing up on your individual platforms, but the strategy is really something that can go cross-platform, and something that's just like a little bit more mix and match.
Incredible. Dara, you are the best. I'm going to talk to you really soon. I appreciate the time.
Thank
you. Absolutely killed it.
Thank you.
Show love in the chat, everybody. Show love in the chat.